everyone. So, as we do, firstly we will discuss the fast track in the form of fast track revision, unit 2, which we have already discussed in previous class. So, let's ready for fast track revision. Then we will have a self-assessment test for this chapter. Consideration. Section 2, Clause D. When at the desire of promiser, the promisee or any other person has done or abstained from doing something, such act or abstinence or promise is called a consideration for the promise. What are the legal rules for consideration? It must move at the desire of promiser. It must move from the promise. It may move from the promisee or any other person. The case was Chinaya versus Ramaya. It may be past, present, or future. Consideration need not be adequate, need not be of same value. Consideration must be real and competent, must be of something which the promiser is not already bound to do. Consideration must not be illegal, immoral, or opposed to public policy. We have also discussed the cases in which a third party can file the suit. Normally, the concept of privity of contract is there, but there are some exceptions. First, the trust. In case of trust, beneficiary can claim. In case of marriage settlement, family member who has right to recover any amount in the contract, he or she can claim, even he is not a part of the contract. Acknowledgement. In case of acknowledgement or admission of liability, the party cannot deny. In case of assignment of contract, assignee can claim the rights. In case of agency, any contract entered by agent on behalf of principal, the principal can also claim on that contract. In case of transfer of immovable property, restrictions, covenants running with the land. Yeah, the example these are दो land adjacent. There are some cases in which a contract, even without consideration, is perfectly valid. First, a written and registered agreement based on account of natural love and affection between near relatives, but it should be written and registered. A promise to pay past voluntary service, that is past consideration, is binding. Promise to pay time bar debt, if it is written, perfectly valid. No consideration is required for agency in case of completed goods. Consideration is not required in case of bailment. Consideration is not required because it is mentioned section 148. In case of charity, if any person has incurred any expenses on the faith of charity, he can claim from the promiser who has promised to make the charity. Right? So please prepare this sheet. चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं. फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन बिफोर यू. द टर्म कंसीडरेशन इन लीगल टर्म्स इज डिफाइंड इन सेक्शन 2 क्लॉज ए, section 2 clause B, section 2 clause C, section 2 clause D. The answer is section 2 clause D. Which of the following statements are correct? Consideration may be past, present, or future. Consideration may be either positive or negative. Consideration must move at the desire of promiser. Consideration must be furnished by the promisee himself. Which of the following statements are correct? The answer is first is correct, second is correct, third is correct, fourth is not correct because consideration may be furnished by promisee or any other person. So the right answer is D. The forbearance to sue is regarded as invalid consideration, no consideration, valid consideration, none of these. The answer is it is valid consideration. A found B's purse and gave it to him. B promised to give rupees 500 to A as reward. In this case, B's promise there is past consideration, present consideration, future consideration, no consideration. The answer is it is past consideration. Next question. An agreement without consideration between the parties who are in near relation to each other is valid and enforceable if the agreement is in writing, registered, based on natural love and affection, all of these. The right answer is all the A, B, C are required. So right answer option is all of these. For the enforcement of the promise to pay a time-barred debt without consideration, which of the following condition is not required? Please read the question carefully. Not required. It must be in writing. It must be definite and express. It must be signed by the promiser. It must be registered in the court of law. The right answer is it must be registered in court of law. As per rule of privity of contract, a stranger to a contract cannot sue. A stranger to concession cannot sue. A stranger to contract can sue, none of the above. The answer is a stranger to contract cannot sue. A space must move at the desire of the promiser. Offer, acceptance, consideration, obligation. The answer is consideration. Very simple answer. It's a very simple question. There space a stranger to consideration. Can be, cannot be, must always be. The answer is can be. Sorry. No consideration, no contract does not apply to completed gift. I think answer आ गया तो ये answer is true. चेक कीजिए आप लोग कितने कितने सही हैं. Very good. So today we will start unit number 3, other essential elements of contract. Actually, this unit has 4 parts. First is capacity to contract. Second is free consent. Third part is lawful consideration and object. And fourth part, contract not expressly declared void. So in today's session, we will discuss complete part of capacity to contract and first 2 points, coercion and undue influence in today's session. Rest we will complete in next class. So please concentrate on what I'm discussing with you. Important unit for examination point of view because it has some question which are practically practical cases are maximum cases are there in this unit. So please be present mentally, physically. Right? So start करते हैं first part, capacity to contract. Capacity to contract का मतलब है the meaning of the capacity to contract means capability of a person to enter into a contract. Capacity or capability of a person to enter into a contract. क्या वो एक पर्सन सक्षम है किसी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में एंटर करने के लिए या नहीं? Capacity refers to the competence of the parties to make a contract. The first question arises, who is competent to enter into the contract? As per section 11 of Indian Contract Act, every person who has attained the age of majority, जो major है, who is of sound mind and is not otherwise disqualified from contracting is competent to contract. कहता है कि जो मेजर है, sound mind है, sound mind means the person who is capable to understand and is not disqualified from contracting is competent to contract. On the analysis we will find the following persons are incapable to contract. कौन contract नहीं कर सकता? Minor, person of unsound mind and person disqualified by any law for which they are subject. Means any person who is major sound mind but specifically disqualified by law cannot enter into the contract. So let's we discuss one by one. So first question is, who is minor? So as per the Indian Majority Act, Act 9th of 1875, a minor is a person who has not completed the age of 18. जिसकी एज उम्र 18 साल से कम है वो माइनर है, जिसने 18 साल क्रॉस कर लिया वो मेजर हो गया. सी लाइक किड्स. तो इन नॉर्मल केस माइनर मींस किड्स, किड्स द फेस ऑफ गॉड. तो किड माइनर कौन है? बच्चा. बच्चा होता है भगवान का रूप. तो उसमें जो भी करेंगे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वॉइड है. भगवान के संग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करते रहो, कुछ नहीं होगा. सी द प्रोविजंस. Position of contract with minor. A contract made with or by minor is void ab initio. Please note, void ab initio means void. Ab means from initio means beginning. So void ab initio means void from beginning. स्टार्टिंग से ही कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वॉइड हो गया, क्योंकि जब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट स्टार्ट हुआ पार्टी इनकैपेबल है तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट क्या हो गया? वॉइड हो गया. A minor is not competent to contract and any agreement with or by the minor is void from very beginning. Void from very beginning. The famous case on this point was Mohari Bibi versus Dharamdas Ghosh. What was the case? अब मिस्टर धर्मदास माइनर, ये है मिस्टर धर्मदास, approaches Mohori Bibi, who is the money lender in that village. He just mortgaged his house. Dhramdas mortgaged his house to Mohori Bibi for 20,000. For 20,000, and Mohori Bibi gave him 8,000 on the same time and promised to pay balance 12,000 on the next day. Dhramdas reaches the court in the next day, by saying that the contract between me and the Mohori Bibi is void because I am the minor. I am not capable to enter into the contract. Court said yes. Yes, the contract with minor is void ab initio. So Mohori Bibi must return the property papers to धर्मदास घोष. मैं हिंदी में बोल रहा हूँ, इसको एक बार दोबारा सुन लीजिए. एक बालक था 17 साल का धर्मदास किसी गांव में. वहां की जो मनी लेंडर जो लोग उधार देते हैं, पैसा गिरवी रखते, कुछ जमीनें गिरवी रख के पैसा उधार देते हैं, वो मोहरी बीवी के पास गया. मोहरी बीवी के पास गया और उनसे कहा कि मुझे ये अपना घर गिरवी रखना है, मुझे 20,000 रुपए दे दो. मोहरी बीवी ने 8,000 रुपए उसे सेम टाइम पे दे दिए और कहा कि भैया 12,000 तुम कल ले जाना. अगले दिन धर्मदास मोहरी बीवी के पास में जाके कोर्ट में गया कि मेरे संग जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुआ वो वॉइड था, तो मुझे मेरी प्रॉपर्टी पेपर वापस दिलाए जाए. कोर्ट सेड यस, द प्रॉपर्टी पेपर शुड बी रिटर्न. तो मोहरी बीवी को बोला प्लीज रिटर्न द प्रॉपर्टी पेपर्स टू धर्मदास घोष. अब ट्विस्ट क्या था? मोहरी बीवी requested the court to ask Mr. Dhamdas for return of 8,000 rupees which he has already received. He has already received. मोहरी बीवी ने कहा कि जो 8,000 रुपए ले गया है धर्मदास, वो तो वापस दिलाए जाए. धर्मदास से पूछा गया भैया कहाँ है वो 8,000 वापस करो, कहाँ से खर्च हो गए? In that case, as per the court, Dhamdas is not liable to return that 8,000 because he has already spent it. पैसे उसने ऑलरेडी खर्च कर दिए, इसलिए वो पैसा देने के लायबिल नहीं है. Mr. D, a minor, mortgaged his house for rupees 20,000 to money lender, but the mortgagee, that is money lender, has paid him 8,000. Subsequently, the minor has filed the suit for cancellation of contract, held the contract is void. As Mr. D is minor, therefore he is not liable to pay anything to a lender. Right? Clear हुआ एग्जाम्पल? क्योंकि ये एग्जाम्पल, दिस एग्जाम्पल इज द बेसिस ऑफ मैटर्स विद द माइनर, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट विद माइनर. I have already discussed बच्चे, void ab initio means void from very beginning. मैंने बताया था अभी, आपने ध्यान नहीं दिया. केस में, इस केस को समझ लो भाई, दोबारा समझ लो कि धर्मदास एक 17 साल का माइनर था जिसने क्या किया, कॉन्टेक्ट किया मोहरी बीवी से अपनी हाउस को गिरवी रखने के लिए 20,000 रुपए में. मोहरी बीवी ने 8,000 रुपए दिए उसको, कहा बाकी 12,000 कर ले लेना. अगले दिन वो कोर्ट में गया धर्मदास घोष और कोर्ट से कहा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वॉइड है, तो मेरी प्रॉपर्टी पर मुझे वापस दिलाया जाए. कोर्ट ने कहा यस, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट आप माइनर हो, आपके कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वॉइड है, तो ये पेपर आपको वापस दिए जाएंगे. मोहरी बीवी को ऑर्डर किया भैया इसके पेपर वापस कर दो. मोहरी बीवी ने कहा भैया 8,000 जो दे दिए वो तो दिलवा दो, 8,000 जो दे दिए वो तो दिलवा दो. धर्मदास से पूछा गया 8,000 कहाँ है, कहाँ खर्च हो गए? कोर्ट ने ऐसे पास है ही नहीं, तो ये देने के लायबिल नहीं है. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. सेकंड पॉइंट, no ratification after attaining majority. Please note the meaning of ratification means confirmation. means if a contract is entered by a person during his minority, a contract is entered by a person during his minority cannot be confirmed even after he becomes a major. अगर किसी पर्सन ने जो उस माइनर तक कॉन्टेक्ट करता है तो मेजर होने के बाद भी उसे वो कंफर्म नहीं कर सकता, उसे एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर सकता, बिकॉज द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इज ऑलरेडी बिकम्स वॉइड एट द टाइम ऑफ फॉर्मेशन. जिस टाइम कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया गया, फॉर्म किया, उसी समय ऑलरेडी वॉइड हो चुका था. वॉइड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को कोई बाद में फ्यूचर में उसको वैलिड कन्वर्ट नहीं कर सकता. So no ratification after attaining the majority. A minor cannot ratify the agreement on attaining majority as the original agreement is void ab initio. See the example. एक सेकंड बच्चों. See the example. Mr. X, a minor, makes a promissory note in the name of Y. X ने promissory note बनाया किसके नाम में? Y के नाम. यानी Mr. X is making promise to make the payment to Mr. Y. Mr. X, a minor, makes a promissory note in the name of Y. It means Mr. X is giving the promise to make the payment to Mr. Y, and on attaining majority, he makes a new promissory note in place of old one. Here, the new promissory note which he executed after attaining majority is also valid, also void, being without consideration. क्या मतलब हुआ? एक्स ने जब माइनर था एक प्रॉमिसरी नोट लिखा किसको? वाई को, कि भैया मैं आपको पैसे दूंगा किसी रीजन से. ठीक है, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वॉइड हो गया. जब वो मेजर हुए मिस्टर एक्स, तो उन्होंने कहा सर वो जो प्रॉमिसरी नोट लिखा था वो तो इनवैलिड हो गया, अब मैं नया दे रहा हूं उसके लिए. बट अगर आप आज नया प्रॉमिसरी नोट दे रहे हैं, इफ यू आर गिविंग अ न्यू प्रॉमिसरी नोट इन प्रेजेंट टाइम, देन व्हाट यू आर गेटिंग इन रिटर्न. So this was also without consideration. This cannot be validate. This cannot be validated. ये जो प्रॉमिस नोटिस वो वैलिड नहीं माना जाएगा. एक बार रीडिंग कीजिए फटाफट से बच्चों. Sir, we should remember the name and everything from this example for exam purpose. No, you should learn at least name should be there. आपको नाम तो याद रखना ही रखना है. And the main main thing of the case is the contract with minor is void ab initio. जितने प्रोविजन है वो आपको देखने हैं क्या थे. void ab initio का मतलब क्या है हिंदी में? स्टार्टिंग से ही void हो गया वो. ab initio means from beginning. ठीक है. Again, I am repeating this point. What is the point? If any contract is entered at the time of minority is void, it cannot be confirmed even after majority. एक माइनर ने जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया, जब वो माइनर था उस वक्त कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया, वो वॉइड है. मेजर होने के बाद भी उसे वो कंफर्म नहीं कर सकता. सर प्रॉमिसरी नोट, न्यू प्रॉमिसरी नोट बनाने के बाद भी वॉइड क्यों हो गया? क्योंकि उसे अब बदले में नहीं मिला कुछ भी. आज वो प्रॉमिस नोट देगा बदले में, तो उसे मिलेगा क्या? कुछ भी नहीं मिलेगा. थर्ड पॉइंट, minor can be beneficiary or can take benefit out of the contract. It means minor can have the rights in the contract. Minor की liability नहीं होगी. There is no liability in case of minor, but rights are there. So the law says, though the minor is not competent to enter into the contract, nothing in the contract act prevents him from making the other party bound to the minor. यानी कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इस तरह का हो सकता है जिसमें अदर पार्टी, जो मेजर पर्सन है, the major person may be the liable party and minor is having the right. See the example number 3. A promissory note duly executed in favor of minor. It means if a promissory note is executed in favor of minor, means the minor has right to recover the amount. Minor is not liable. He has right to recover. अगर promissory note लिखा हुआ है किसके फेवर में, किसी माइनर के, मतलब माइनर को पैसे देने हैं. In that case, it is not void. Minor can recover the amount if it is executed or signed or made by major person. अगर प्रॉमिस नोट किसी मेजर ने लिखा, सपोज मैं लिख रहा हूं किसी मेजर को, माइनर को देने के लिए, मेजर हूं मैं लिख रहा हूं किसी माइनर के लिए, आई एम सेइंग दैट आई प्रॉमिस टू पे मिस्टर एक्स रुपीज सो एंड मिस्टर एक्स इज माइनर, द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इज वैलिड बिकॉज माइनर कैन बी द बेनिफिशियरी, वो बेनिफिट ले सकता है. नॉर्मल केस, प्लीज अगेन नोट दिस लाइन. In normal case, a minor cannot become partner in partnership firm. Normal case, as per the Indian Contract Act, because the contract with minor is void ab initio, a minor cannot be a partner in the partnership firm. But Section 30 of the Indian Partnership Act 1932 allows to a minor to be partner for benefits only if all other partners allow him. अगर बाकी सारे पार्टनर चाहे तो उस माइनर को केवल बेनिफिट के लिए फर्म में पार्टनर बना सकते हैं. एंड collectively some rights and liabilities are there that you could be understood by in the chapter जब when you read the chapter partnership. पढ़िए फटाफट से एक बार इसे. A minor can always plead minority and is not stopped to do so even where he has taken any loan or entered into any contract by falsely representing that he was major. Sorry. माइनर के संग अच्छी बात क्या है, मैंने क्या था, माइनर कौन है, भगवान. माइनर कौन है, बच्चा. बच्चा होता है भगवान करूँ, सारे गुना माफ. द माइनर कैन ऑलवेज प्लीड माइनॉरिटी, हमेशा फायदा उठा सकता है माइनॉरिटी का. एंड इवन ही हैज falsely represented that he has major and taken a loan as was done in case of Mohari Bibi with Dharamdas Ghosh. Even that he cannot be blamed. अगर माइनर ने झूठ बोला है, झूठ बोल के कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया है, तब भी उस पर कोई लाइबिलिटी नहीं है. In case of Mohari Bibi versus Dharamdas Ghosh, Mr. D misrepresented that his age and money lender has paid him rupees 8,000. डी ने झूठ बोला, धर्मदास घोष ने झूठ बोला और झूठ बोलने के बाद उससे पैसे ले लिए. बट द कोर्ट डिड नॉट स्टॉप हिम. कोर्ट कहता कोई बात नहीं, वो तो बच्चा है, उसमें अकल ही कहा है. एंड देयरफॉर ही इज नॉट लायबल टू मेक द पेमेंट ऑफ 8,000 which he has already received. बेटा मैं 1 मिनट के लिए म्यूट कर रहा हूं. the law says minor is liable to pay out of his properties for necessaries supplied to him by the other. First of all, we should understand the meaning of necessaries and property. In normal way, necessary means basic requirements. So as per the law, basic requirements are roti, kapla, makan और शिक्षा, food, cloth, बेटा एक मिनट के लिए पॉज दे रहा हूँ, कुछ इश्यूज है, एक मिनट. Okay, come to the point. So first of all, we should understand the concept of necessaries and property. Necessary means basic requirements. So as per the law, in the eyes of law, basic requirements are food, cloth, education, and shelter. Roti, kapla, makan और शिक्षा. So law says for these four things, these basic necessaries, minor is liable to make the payment out of his property. Out of his property. Now property means what he actually have at the time of contract. जिस समय जितना था उसके पास उसी से liable होगा. Necessaries may be just a moment. May be about necessary goods, that is food, clothes, services, education, shelter, like it. See the example. Shruti, being a minor, purchased a laptop for her online classes of rupees 70,000 on credit from a shop, but her assets could pay only rupees 20,000. The shopkeeper could not hold Shruti personally liable and could recover only amount recoverable through her asset up to 20,000. What is the example? Shruti is a minor and she purchased a laptop costing 70,000 on credit. But because it is a part of the education, she is liable to make the payment, but up to his assets, up to her property. And the total value of the property of Shruti is 20,000. So in that case, Shruti is liable to make the payment only 20,000. And your question may arise, sir, what about 50,000? Nobody will pay. This loss have to be borne by the shopkeeper, right? तो श्रुति से कितना ले सकता है दुकानदार? केवल 20,000. Next point, normally I already discussed with you in an example that minor cannot enter into the partnership as a partner, but specifically section 30 of the Indian Partnership Act 1932 allows a minor to be admitted in the partnership firm for the benefits only after the consent of all other partners. Next point, a minor cannot be adjusted. In the simple words, adjusted you can say declared. Minor cannot be declared as insolvent because in any contract minor has no liability. Minor कोई liability होती नहीं है. And who is the insolvent? The insolvent is the person who cannot pay his liabilities. दिवालिया. जो इंसान अपनी लाइबिलिटी पे नहीं कर पाता है, जो इंसान अपनी लाइबिलिटी पे करने में सक्षम नहीं है, उसे हम बोलते हैं दिवालिया, उसे बोलते हैं इंग्लिश में इंसॉल्वेंट. Because minor is not liable to pay any liability, so he cannot be declared as insolvent. Next point, minor cannot bind पेरेंट्स और गार्जियन. यानी अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट माइनर ने किया है तो उसके लिए उसके पेरेंट्स भी लायबल नहीं है. इन द एब्सेंस ऑफ अथॉरिटी express or implied, a minor is not capable of binding his parents or guardians even for necessaries. So in the previous example of Shruti, the laptop worth 70,000 and Shruti has only 20,000. For rest amount of 50,000, minor's parents will not be liable. The minor parent will be liable only when, please underline, only when the child is acting as an agent of the parents. अगर parents ने, if parents had sent the kid, their child, to work as the agent of parents, then parent will be liable. अगर parent ने अपने बच्चे को अपना एजेंट बना के भेजा है और जो बच्चा है वो एज ए एजेंट वर्क कर रहा है किसके बिहाफ पर, पेरेंट्स के बिहाफ पर, only in that case parents will be liable. See the example. Richa, a minor, entered into a contract of buying a scooty from the dealer and mentioned that her parents will be liable for payment of scooty. Richa एक minor है, entered into contract of buying a scooty from a dealer and mentioned that her parents will not be liable for the payment of scooty. The dealer sent a letter to her parents for money. The parents will not be liable for such payment as the contract was entered by minor in their absence and out of the knowledge. अगर माइनर ने कॉन्टेक्ट कर लिया पेरेंट्स से बगैर पूछे तो पेरेंट्स फिर उसके बाद भी पेरेंट्स लाइबल नहीं होंगे. कौन लाइबल होगा? जिसने कॉन्टेक्ट किया. जो दुकानदार है वो खुद लाइबल हो जाएगा. राइट. रीड कीजिए एग्जांपल फटाफट से. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, a minor can be agent. Minor can work as an agent. Agent means the person who is working on behalf of some other person. Agent कौन है? जो किसी और के behalf पे काम कर. And the person on whose behalf the agent is working is called principal. So if a minor is working as an agent of a principal, then principal will be liable. A minor can act as an agent, but he will not be liable to his principal for his acts. A minor can draw, deliver, and endorse negotiable instruments without himself being liable. Minor खुद से liable नहीं होगा. जिसने उसे एजेंट बनाया है, भैया तू खुद liable होगा, तू जाना तेरा काम चल. See example number 7. A minor can have an account in the bank. He can draw a check for his purchase, but he shall not be liable for check bounces, nor can he be sued under the court of law for any fraud done from his account. तो माइनर ने अकाउंट खोल दिया अपना बैंक में, अगर चेक बाउंस हो गया तो माइनर लायबल नहीं है भैया. तुमने क्यों लिया चेक माइनर से? राइट. If any contract is jointly entered by major and the minor, for example, X and Y jointly purchase a house and payment is pending. X and Y jointly purchase a house and payment is pending, X is major and Y is minor. In that case, Y is not liable to make the payment. The seller cannot claim the payment from Y. X is only liable to make the full payment. 11th point says minor surety for a minor guarantor. Surety means guarantor. Law says in a contract of guarantee, when an adult stands surety for a minor, then he is liable to third parties as the direct contract between the surety and the third party. First, come to the example. Then we will come again on point number 11. Mr. X guaranteed for purchase of mobile phone by Krish, a minor. Mr. X ने गारंटी दी, he is the guarantor. किस बात के लिए कि एक क्रिश जो माइनर है वो क्या खरीद रहा है, मोबाइल खरीद रहा है, उसका पेमेंट कौन करेगा, एक्स करेगा. मिस्टर एक्स गारंटेड फॉर द परचेज ऑफ मोबाइल फोन बाय क्रिश हु इज माइनर. If in case of failure for payment by Krish, Mr. X will be liable to make the payment. So in the simple words, come to the point number 11 once again. In a contract of guarantee, when an adult stands surety, अगर कोई adult guarantor बनना है किसी minor के लिए, then guarantor will be liable, minor will not be liable. Suppose in such case, suppose in example number 8, listen. Krish has purchased the mobile and he does not make the payment. So X has to make the payment, and after that X cannot claim that payment from Krish क्योंकि Krish तो minor है. अगर Krish ने मोबाइल खरीदा और पेमेंट नहीं किया तो गारंटर कौन था, X. X has to make the payment, but X वो पेमेंट Krish से क्लेम नहीं कर सकता क्योंकि Krish minor था. Minor as a shareholder. Minor as a shareholder. Sarla is asking, sir, can a seller seize the mobile from Krish? A failure payment, no. Normal case, no. In my opinion. Minor as a shareholder. Listen, a minor being incompetent to contract cannot be a shareholder of the company. If by mistake he becomes member, the company can resign the transaction and remove the name from the register. What is saying कि minor contract के लिए capable नहीं है तो वो shareholder भी नहीं बन सकता. गलती से अगर शेयर ट्रांसफर भी हो गए तो कंपनी को ट्रांजेक्शन कैंसिल करना पड़ेगा, उसका नाम मेंबर रजिस्टर में से रिमूव करना पड़ेगा. बट अ माइनर, इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, बट अ माइनर में एक्टिंग through his lawful guardian become a shareholder by transfer or transmission of fully paid up shares. First, fully paid up means nothing to be paid. शेयर पूरे पेमेंट हो चुका, कोई पेमेंट बाकी नहीं है, fully paid up. Transfer or transmission. Transfer means when X transferred the share to Y. X transfer share to Y, it is called transfer. Transmission normally case of death. If in case of death of X, the share of X will be transferred to the legal heir. Suppose Y is the legal heir. ट्रांसफर मतलब क्या होता है कि जैसे मैंने अपने शेयर में बेटे को बेच दिया, गिफ्ट कर दिया, ट्रांसफर कर दिया, बट शेयर शुड बी फुली पेड अप. इन दैट केस माय सन कैन बी द शेयर होल्डर. कि शेयर ऑलरेडी पेड है, कंपनी से कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं है, मैंने शेयर अपने बेटे को गिफ्ट कर दिए या उनको इसके नाम में कुछ बेच दिए, व्हाटएवर. ट्रांसमिशन होता है कि डेथ के केस में अगर किसी कंपनी के शेयर एक्स के पास है और एक्स की डेथ हो जाती है तो उसके लीगल हेयर को जाएंगे, इसको बोलते हैं ट्रांसमिशन. अब सपोज लीगल हेयर कौन है, सपोज लीगल हेयर इज माइनर. सपोज लीगल हेयर इज माइनर, then even that share will be transferred in his name. So only in those cases where share are fully paid up and can be transferred only in case of transfer and transmission. Liability for torts, you need not to go very in depth for tort. Tort means civil wrong. कोई गलत काम करने को tort बोलते हैं. You need not go to the what are the rules of tort. जरूरत नहीं है. Simple example समझ लीजिए. A minor was held liable for his failure to return certain instruments which he had hired and then passed to on his friend. गलत किया काम उसने, एक फ्रेंड से एक माइनर ने क्या किया, कुछ इंस्ट्रूमेंट थे म्यूजिकल के, वो किराए पे लिए और अपने दोस्त को दे दिए, उस केस में वो लायबल हो जाएगा। कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बाय गार्जियन, हाउ फार एनफोर्सेबल, इंपॉर्टेंट, प्लीज मार्क एज इंपॉर्टेंट। बच्चे एक बार रीड कीजिए। कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बाय गार्जियन हाउ फार एनफोर्सेबल, कितना एनफोर्सेबल है। वेयर द गार्जियन मेक्स ए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट फॉर माइनर विच इज फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ द माइनर, विच इज फॉर द बेनिफिट्स of the minor, there will be a valid contract which the minor can enforce. Means, if a guardian or parent enter into the contract for the benefit of minor, then minor can claim that. अगर कोई पेरेंट माइनर के बिहाफ पर कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करता है जिसमें माइनर का बेनिफिट है, तो माइनर को क्लेम कर सकता है। but all contract made by guardian on the behalf of minor are not valid. जरूर नहीं सारे ही वैलिड हो। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, guardian of a minor has no power to bind the minor by a contract for the purchase of immovable property. गार्जियन पे बच्चे के नाम से कोई प्रॉपर्टी नहीं खरीद सकते, उसकी लाइबल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वैलिड नहीं माना जाएगा। A contract entered into by certified guardian appointed by the court. Suppose in some cases, unfortunately, the both parents have been died, no other guardian is there, and guardian is appointed by the court of a minor. So with the sanction of with the permission of the court, that guardian can sell the minor property, purchase the property, whatever be as per the instruction of the court. And last point, minor's agreement being no specific performance. देखिए, नो स्पेसिफिक परफॉर्मेंस क्या होता है? आई एम जस्ट गिविंग द ब्रीफ आइडिया बिकॉज आई विल डिस्कस दिस टॉपिक इन unit number 5 in detail, but I'm just giving the basic idea. Specific performance means, for example, I have booked a room in a hotel, and at that time when I reached the hotel management said that the all that room is already occupied for some emergency. So he has to arrange another रूम फॉर मी। दिस कॉल्ड स्पेसिफिक परफॉर्मेंस, कि मैंने एक रूम बुक किया होटल में, जहां मैं पहुंचा तो सब कोई आज ऑलरेडी कोई आ गया, तो कुछ रीजन है, सिर्फ ब्लॉक है वो, या कोई ऑलरेडी ऑक्यूपाइड है, तो इस केस में जो मुझे वो दूसरा रूम देगा इज कॉल्ड स्पेसिफिक परफॉर्मेंस। तो अ माइनर्स एग्रीमेंट बीइंग एब्सोल्युटली वॉइड, देयर कैन बी नो क्वेश्चन ऑफ स्पेसिफिक परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ सच एग्रीमेंट। द माइनर के केस में, इफ माइनर एंटर्ड इनटू द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बिकॉज द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इज वॉइड, a specific performance cannot be demanded in case of contract with the minor. बच्चों रीड कीजिए इसको एक बार। सर इंश्योरेंस में हो जाता है, प्रॉपर्टी नहीं पॉलिसी है। उसने असाइन कर दी बेटे के नाम पर या माइनर के नाम पर असाइन कर दी। So now, person of sound mind. First of all, we should understand who is what is the meaning of sound mind. The person is said to be sound mind for the purpose of making a contract if at the time when he makes it, he is capable of understanding it and of formal rational judgment as to the effects upon his interest. Means, sound mind कौन है? In normal language, the person is sound mind who is getting sound in his mind. Means he is capable to understand and can decide what would be the effects of this contract on his interest. मतलब कि साउंड माइंड कौन है? कि अगर कोई बात आपसे कह रहा है, बात समझ में आ रही है और वो समझ सकता है कि इस बात का उसके हितों पर, उसके बेनिफिट के लिए या उसके लॉस के लिए वो डिसाइड कर सकता हो, एक जजमेंट बना सकता हो। A person is said to be the sound mind for the purpose of making a contract if at the time when he makes it is capable of understanding it and forming a rational judgment as to its effect upon his interest. So the person who is unsound mind is called mad, पागल आदमी. अनसाउंड माइंड क्या बोलेंगे हम नॉर्मली पागल. ठीक है. बट टाइप्स ऑफ अनसाउंड माइंड. तो आज लॉ ने बताया कि पागल भी 3 तरह के होते हैं. फर्स्ट, इडियट. द इडियट इज अ पर्सन who has completely lost his mental powers and contact with this person is void. It means the person who has lost his mental power for all the 24 hours is called idiot. जो 24 से 24 घंटे पागल रहता हो, दिमाग नहीं चलता हो, उसे क्या बोलेंगे? इडियट. And the contact with this person is void. Second category is lunatic. The person who is mostly unsound. The person is mostly unsound, but usually mostly unsound, but occasionally sound. एक पर्सन जो मैक्सिमम टाइम क्या रहता हो? अनसाउंड रहता हो, बट कभी कभी साउंड हो जाता. फॉर एग्जाम्पल 24 में से 23 घंटे पागल रहता है, एक आध घंटा कभी सही हो जाता है. अ पर्सन हु इज यूजुअली ऑफ अनसाउंड माइंड but occasionally of sound mind may make a contract when he is of sound mind. Please underline this line. A lunatic person may make a contract when he is of sound mind. Up important point in this category. Because this person is mostly unsound, usually unsound, the court will presume that contract is entered with this person when he is of unsound mind. क्योंकि ये आदमी मैक्सिमम टाइम पागल रहता है, कभी कभी सही होता है, तो कोर्ट तो यही मानेगी. क्या मानेगी कोर्ट? कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट उस वक्त हुआ जिस वक्त ये अनसाउंड माइंड था. तो इन केस ऑफ ल्यूनेटिक द कोर्ट विल प्रिज्यूम द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट is entered at the time when he is of unsound. So in that case, contract is void. But one party of the contract, either that person or other person, says, no sir, contract was entered at the time when this person is sound mind. अब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की पार्टियों में से कोई एक पर्सन कहता है कि सर नहीं, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट उस वक्त हुआ था जिस वक्त ये आदमी सही था, जिस वक्त ये सही था. तो उससे प्रूफ करना है जो ये कह रहा है कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सही है. So the burden of proving of sound mind at the time of contract lies on the person who affirms it. Affirms it, confirm करता है. So if any person says in this category that contract is perfectly valid because the contract was entered at the time when this person was properly sound mind, so he has to prove that contract is perfectly valid. Third category, drunken, intoxicant person or person incapable to understanding due to age or disease. Means a person who is usually of sound mind. Usually of sound mind. Normally sound है but occasionally of unsound mind. But कभी कभी वो क्या हो जाता है? अनसाउंड हो जाता है. नॉर्मली साउंड रहता है बट कभी कभार लगा ली उनने, दिमाग ने काम करना बंद कर दिया, अनसाउंड हो जाता है. तो लॉ सेज he cannot make a contract when he is of sound mind, because in this category the person is usually of sound mind, so the court will presume that contract is entered at the time when the person is of sound mind. It means the contract is perfectly valid. But if such person says, no sir, the contract was valid entered at the time when I am not capable to understand, when I am unsound mind due to some disease, due to some mental health, so he has to prove The burden of proving of sound mind at the time of contract, सही कर लीजिए बच्चों, proving unsound mind at the time of contract lies on the person who denies the soundness. प्लीज नोट कर करेक्शन कर लीजिए. The burden of proving of unsound mind at the time of contract lies on the person who denies the sound. जो मना करता है कि वो साउंड नहीं था, उसे ही प्रूव करना है कि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वॉइड था. राइट. Some person disqualified, it means normally minor is incapable to enter into the contract. Second person of unsound mind is incapable to enter into the contract. One more person, it means these are the persons who are major and sound mind. Even in that case they cannot enter into the contract because they are specifically defined in the law. First is alien enemy. Alien enemy means the person who belongs to the country who is at war with India. दुश्मन देश का नागरिक, कोई ऐसा नागरिक जो सॉरी जो अपने देश इंडिया के साथ देश का झगड़ा चल रहा हो, वॉर चल रहा हो, उस देश के सिटीजन को हम क्या बोलेंगे? एलियन एनिमी. सपोज कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वाज मेड ड्यूरिंग द वॉर. अगर जब वॉर चल रहा था, व्हेन द वॉर वाज कंटिन्यूइंग इन कंटिन्यूएंस and contract is entered, that contract is void. If contract was entered before the war, if contract was entered before the war and war come, in that case the contract will be suspended or dissolved. Suspended means after the war will end, the contract will revive. But if the Indian government or Indian court thinks to revive this, to continue this contract, revive this contract will be harmful for India, in that case this contract will be permanently dissolved. Second category is foreign rulers. फॉरेन रूलर्स के बारे में छोटी सी बात है, लेकिन नोट कर लीजिए. दे कैन एंटर इनटू द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एंड एनफोर्स दोस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इन आवर कोर्ट्स, बट एन इंडियन सिटीजन हैज टू ऑब्टेन द प्रायर सैंक्शन ऑफ द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इन ऑर्डर टू सू देम इन द लॉ ऑफ कोर्ट्स. यानी अभी कौन है रूलर, कौन है फॉरेन का? फॉर एग्जांपल डोनाल्ड ट्रंप. इनके संग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर सकते हैं. कुछ मामला गड़बड़ होगा तो इन्हें हम अपनी कोर्ट में बुला सकते हैं, बट वी हैव टू टेक द परमिशन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट. बट इफ दे बिकम एक्स किंग, अब राजा नहीं है, अब प्रेसिडेंट नहीं है, ओनर नहीं है, ओनर कह सकते हैं, किंग नहीं है, इन दैट केस इज नॉर्मल मैन. तो इन दैट केस दे कैन बी कॉल्ड इन आवर कोर्ट्स. नेक्स्ट कैटेगरी इज corporations like companies. The law says corporations have their own laws in the form of memorandum and articles of association, and those corporations should follow those clauses which are mentioned in the memorandum and article. कहता भैया इनके अपने लॉस होते हैं. कंपनी एक्ट है, मेमोरेंडम एसोसिएशन है, आर्टिकल एसोसिएशन है, उनको फॉलो करना है. राइट. उनके अकॉर्डिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किए जाएंगे. इंसॉल्वेंट, अगर कोई पर्सन इंसॉल्वेंट है तो बिकॉज ही इज ऑलरेडी इंसॉल्वेंट मींस ही इज ऑलरेडी इनकैपेबल टू पे द लायबिलिटीज, तो देयर इज नो न्यू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट शुड बी एंटर्ड विद हिम. कि भैया जो आदमी अभी से अपनी लायबिलिटी पे नहीं कर पा रहा है तो वो आगे कैसे पे करेगा. एंड द लास्ट कैटेगरी इज कन्विक्ट्स. अ कन्विक्ट व्हेन अंडरगोइंग इम्प्रिजनमेंट इज इनकैपेबल टू एंटर इनटू द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. जब तक वो जेल में तब तक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं कर सकता. सर गार्जियन is liable for minor's loan for the loan the minor took by entering into the contract. Actually, the loan taken for education loan normally for the minor, the loan is taken by the guardian, not by the minor. They have taken the loan for minor, not on behalf of minor. तो वही पे करते हैं normal case में. So the time for LPL match 1, वही condition, send all answers simultaneously, not one by one. Okay, so first, please read question carefully, then select the option. An agreement entered into by minor is voidable at the option of minor, voidable at the option of other party, void ab initio, valid if consideration is paid. Second question. In Mohari Bibi versus Dharamdas Ghosh, the Privy Council held that minor's agreement is voidable. Minor is liable for the benefits received. Minor's agreement is void ab initio. Minor can ratify contract on majority. A person who is usually of unsound mind but occasionally of sound mind may never enter into a contract, enter into a contract only through guardian, enter into a contract when he is of sound mind, enter into a contract only with the court's permission. If a minor falsely represents himself as a major and enters into a contract, then he becomes liable for contract. The contract becomes valid. He can be sued for breach of contract. The contract remains void. Next point. Next question. Liability for necessary supply to a minor is personal liability of a minor, liability of guardian, liability of minor's estate, liability of supplier. According to Section 12 of the Indian Contract Act, a person is said to be of sound mind if he is above 18 years of age, capable of understanding the contract and forming a rational judgment about its effect on his interests, is medically fit, has sufficient property. स्टार्ट करते हैं बच्चों. An agreement entered into by minor is void ab initio. Mauri Bibi और धर्मदास घोष, the Privy Council held that minor's agreement is void ab initio. A person who is usually of unsound mind but occasionally of sound mind may enter into the contract when he is of sound mind. If a minor falsely represents himself as a major enters into contract, then the contract remains void. Liability for necessary supply to minor is liability of minor's estate. According to Section 12 of Indian Contract Act, a person is said to be of sound mind if he is capable of understanding the contract and forming a rational judgment about the effect on his interest. Right? So let's check. First person who has given all the correct answer is Sarla Devi. Priyanka, Shreya, Subhash Ojha, and Sargam. So at this place, we are having a break of 10 minutes, then we will rejoin. Okay? 10 मिनट ब्रेक दीजिए बच्चों को सर. sir. So let's come to the part number 2, the free consent. But before starting the topic free consent, we should understand the concept of consent. Section 13 defines consent means when two persons are agree on the same thing in the same sense. Please underline agree upon the same thing in the same sense. जो दो लोग हों जो किसी बात पर चर्चा कर रहे हो, दोनों के दिमाग में एक ही चीज चल रही हो. Suppose two persons are talking about plant, but in one person, in the first person, the plant means this plant, and other person, the plant means plant and machinery. A asks B, I want to purchase a plant. A is thinking about plant and machinery, and B is thinking about his plant, tulsi plant, for example. So there is no consent. So law says if there is no consent, there is no contract. If no consent, no contract. Contract होगा ही नहीं. Consensus ad idem. What we have discussed, two persons should be agree upon the same thing in the same sense. एक ही बात पर एक ही सेंस में एग्री हो, इसे हम बोलते हैं, टेक्निकल टर्म में बोलते हैं कॉन्सेंसस एड आइडम. कॉन्सेंसस एड आइडम नोट कर लीजिए. फ्री कंसेंट. अब कंसेंट हो गई, देन कम टू द सेक्शन नंबर 14, free consent. Law says the consent is said to be free when not caused by, not affected by, not taken by using any of the five: coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, mistake. One thing you must note, for point number 1, 2, 3, 4, the contract is voidable. But in point number 4, contract either valid or void. या तो valid होगा या void होगा. ठीक है. So in today's session we will discuss section 15 and section 16, coercion and undue influence. Come to the first point. Coercion. The coercion Hindi meaning उत्पीड़न, physical torture. The consent is said to be caused by coercion when it is obtained by committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by IPC or now BNS. ठीक है. कहता कोई ऐसा काम करना, कमिट, और करने की धमकी देना जो आईपीसी में पहले और अब बीएनएस में प्रोहिबिटेड है, तो क्या कहा जाएगा? कोर्शन अप्लाई हुआ. द कंसेंट इज सेड टू बी कॉज्ड बाय कोर्शन व्हेन इट इज ऑब्टेन्ड बाय committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by IPC, Indian Penal Code, or BNS, भारतीय न्याय, और unlawful detaining or threatening to detain any property. Detaining means कब्जा करना, occupy करना. Unlawful detaining or threatening to detain, unlawfully कब्जा करना या कब्जा करने की धमकी देना, तो कहा जाए कोर्शन अप्लाई हो. See the example number 8. X says to Y, I shall kill your son unless you agree to sell your house to me for ₹5,000. X ने Y से कहा कि मैं तुम्हें मार दूंगा अगर तुमने अपना घर 5,000 रुपए में नहीं बेचा. Y says, all right sir, I shall sell my house to you for ₹5,000. Do not kill my son. मेरे बेटे को मारो, मैं आपको अपना घर 5,000 में बेच दूंगा. It means X has employed coercion. एक्स ने कोर्शन अप्लाई किया. वन मोर एग्जाम्पल फॉर पॉइंट नंबर बी. अब X says to Y, I shall not return the document of the title means ownership, document title deed, relating to your wife's property unless you agree to sell your house to me for ₹5,000. टैक्स ने वाई से कहा, साहब मेरे पास जो आपकी वाइफ की प्रॉपर्टी पेपर है वो वापस नहीं करूंगा अगर तुम मुझे अपना घर 5,000 में नहीं बेचोगे. वाई ने कहा ठीक है बेच दूंगा. इट मीन्स एक्स ने कोर्शन अप्लाई किया. एक बार रीड कीजिए बच्चों ध्यान से, इसको पढ़िए ध्यान से. Now, what are the consequences of contract in which consent is obtained by coercion? एक्स ने वाई से कहा कि साहब मैंने आपकी वाइफ की प्रॉपर्टी पेपर जब्त कर रखे हैं, अपने पास कब्जा कर रखा है, अगर आपने मुझे अपना घर 5,000 रुपए नहीं बेचा तो पेपर आपको नहीं लौटाऊंगा. राइट. वाई ने कहा ठीक है मैं बेच दूंगा. इट मींस एक्स ने कोर्शन अप्लाई किया, प्रॉपर्टी को डिटेन करने की धमकी दी. व्हाट आर द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेज ऑफ कोर्शन? सेक्शन 19 प्रोवाइड्स a contract is voidable at the option of the party whose consent was so caused. I am repeating this line. A contract is voidable at the option of the parties whose consent was so caused. यानी कि contract voidable है, void कर सकता है कौन? जिसकी consent coercion से ली गई है. Come to the previous slide. Now tell me in example number 8, who has right to avoid the contract? X or Y? Tell me first. Y. Very good. Very good, Padma. Shreya, whose consent was obtained by coercion? X ने धमकी दी है, Y की कंसेंट ली गई धमकी देके, तो Y's consent is obtained by applying coercion. तो contract is voidable at the option of Y. ठीक है, one thing. Contract is voidable at the option of Y. One thing you should note, till the time Y does not decide to void the contract, जब तक void नहीं करता है, contract will be perfectly valid. So contract is voidable at the option of Y. But if Y does not decide to void the contract is perfectly valid. जब तक वो void नहीं करेगा तब तक valid रहेगा, because contract is voidable in the hands of Y. Right? Very good, Anjali. So section 19 provides the contract is voidable at the option of parties whose consent was so caused. Whose consent? Mr. Y. And second point, person to whom money is paid or thing delivered under coercion must repay or return it. Section 72 provides. Suppose in the previous example, X has purchased the house for 5,000 rupees and X has given the payment of 5,000 and he has received the house. After that, Y had decided to avoid the contract. Then Y has to return the money to Mr. X, which is 5,000. Example 8 में suppose Y ने डिसाइड किया कि मैं कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वॉइड करूंगा, बट वो पहले ले चुका है 5,000 रुपए, तो उसे पहले वो 5,000 वापस करने पड़ेंगे. एंड बर्डन ऑफ प्रूफ, हु हैज टू प्रूव दैट कोर्शन इज देयर? Y has to prove that his consent was not free, his consent was obtained by coercion. एक बार पढ़ लीजिए बच्चों इसको. क्लियर? कोई डाउट इसमें किसी को? क्वेश्चन इज whether threat to commit suicide is coercion. Threat to commit suicide is coercion. So suicide is only crime which cannot be given, for which punishment cannot be given to the person who has successfully attempted this crime. सुसाइड एक अकेला ऐसा क्राइम है जिसने सक्सेसफुली अटेम्प्ट कर लिया, उसे पनिशमेंट नहीं मिल सकता. जिसने कोशिश की उसे पनिशमेंट मिलेगा, बच गया वो. तो but because suicide is defined as crime in previously IPC and presently BNS. So if any person is giving the threat for committing suicide, and then he is using for the purpose of taking the consent, it is also the coercion. So suicide, though forbidden by IPC, is for obvious reason not punishable. A dead person cannot be punished. But Section 15 declares that committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by IPC or BNS is coercion. Hence, a threat to commit suicide will be regarded as coercion. See the example. Where husband obtains a gift deed from his wife and son under a threat of committing suicide. एक पर्सन ने अपनी वाइफ से और अपने बेटे से सुसाइड धमकी देके सारी प्रॉपर्टी अपने नाम करवा ली एज ए गिफ्ट. The transaction was set aside. Set aside means cancel. Set aside means cancel on the ground of coercion, suicide being forbidden by IPC. Right? पढ़िए बच्चों एक बार फटाफट से इसको. Clear? Next point. Undue influence. Section 16. Coercion is physical torture. Undue influence mental torture. हिंदी में बोलते हैं इसे अनुचित प्रभाव. अनुचित प्रभाव. Suppose, मतलब, if a person is in position to dominate the will of other, if a person is in position to dominate the will of other and he takes the benefit, unfair benefit of this position, then it is said there is undue influence. एक पर्सन दूसरे पर्सन को डोमिनेट करने की पोजीशन में हो, एक पर्सन दूसरे पर्सन को डोमिनेट करने की पोजीशन में हो और वो इस बात का अनफेयर फायदा उठाए, तो कहा जाएगा कि अनड्यू इन्फ्लुएंस अप्लाई हुआ है. A contract is said to be induced. Induce means फुसलाना. Induce means फुसलाना, हाँ करवाना. A contract is said to be induced by undue influence where the relations subsisting between the parties are such that the one of the parties is in position to dominate the will of other and uses that position to obtain the unfair advantage of other. Means if two persons are in position that the relation between them is that one can dominate the will of other and takes the unfair benefit. दो लोगों के बीच में ऐसा रिश्ता है कि एक आदमी दूसरे एक पार्टी दूसरी पार्टी को डोमिनेट कर सकती है उसकी इच्छा के विरुद्ध काम करने के लिए, और वो इस बात का एक फायदा उठाए, तो कहा जाएगा देयर इज अनड्यू इन्फ्लुएंस. सी द एग्जांपल. नाउ फर्स्ट वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड the relationship. What are the contents of this definition? What is the essentials for this undue influence? First point, there must be a relation between the parties. A person can be influenced by other person when a near relation between the two exists. एक आदमी जब भी डोमिनेट सकता है जब उन दोनों के बीच में कोई रिलेशन एग्जिस्ट करता हो. सीधा एग्जांपल. सेकंड पॉइंट, position to dominate the will, and one person relation is of such nature that one person can dominate the other person against his will, and the person is deemed to be in such position, is deemed to be in dominating position in the following circumstances. The first category is real and apparent authority, वास्तविक authority, like master and servant, master and position to dominate the will of servant, doctor and patient. Doctor patient are also categorized in this category. Fiduciary relationship. Fiduciary means relationship of trust, faith. नोट कर लीजिए, relationship of trust or faith. Relationship of trust or faith, like father son, solicitor advocate and client, husband wife, creditor debtor. Mental distress, where the mental capacity of the person is temporarily or permanently affected by the person by the reason of mental or body distress, illness or old age. कई बार आदमी की मेंटल पोजीशन इतनी खराब होती है कि जो उसका साथ दे रहा है उसी को अच्छा मान लेता है वो. Where mental capacity of a person is temporarily or permanently affected by reason of a mental or bodily distress, illness or old age. Third category, अनकॉन्शनेबल बार्गेन. तो पहले उसको हम एक बार दोबारा रिवाइज कराता हूँ बच्चों, एक बार ध्यान से समझ लीजिए दोबारा इसको कैटेगरी को. पहला, देयर शुड बी रिलेशनशिप between the parties, and such type of relationship then one party is in dominating position, and law also defines the what is the meaning of dominating position, dominating relationship. Real and apparent authority like master servant, doctor patient. Fiduciary, विश्वास का रिश्ता, father and son, solicitor client, husband wife. Creditor debtor, मेंटल डिस्ट्रेस. कई बार क्या होता है कि इंसान का दिमाग कमजोर हो गया है कुछ बीमारी की वजह से, उम्र की वजह से, व्हाट आर द रीजन. एंड वन मोर थिंग, unconscionable bargains means unreasonable bargain, unreasonable negotiation, transaction, मोल भाव, unreasonable. Where one of the party to a contract is in position to dominate the will of other and the contract is apparently unconscionable, unfair, it is presumed by law that consent must have been obtained by undue influence. Unconscionable bargains are witnessed mostly in money lending transaction and gift. नॉर्मली कह रहा है कि भाई अगर उधार देने में जो ब्याज पैसे देते हैं उनके संग लगता है, नॉर्मली क्या होता है अनकॉन्शनेबल, कि वो अनरीजनेबल ट्रांजेक्शन चल रहा है, अनरीजनेबल मोल भाव चल रहा है. सीधा एग्जांपल, A applies to a banker for a loan at the time when there is a stringency in the money market. मतलब कमी है पैसे की, मार्केट में पैसा नहीं है. The banker declines to make the loan except at an usually high rate of interest. बैंकर ने कहा भैया मैं तो दूंगा लेकिन पैसा ही नहीं है मार्केट में, मुझे बहुत महंगा ब्याज पे देना पड़ेगा. A accept the loan on these terms. This is a transaction in the ordinary course of business and the contract is not induced by the undue. क्योंकि बैंकर सभी के संग ऐसा कर रहा है भाई, जो मार्केट पैसा ही नहीं है सभी से रेट हाई ले रहा है, इसलिए दैट्स व्हाई इट इज नॉट अ अनरीजनेबल और अनकॉन्शनेबल बार्गेन. बट वन मोर एग्जांपल, A being in debt to B, the money lender of his village, contract a fresh loan on the term which appear to be unconscionable. It lies on the B to prove that the contract was not induced by undue influence. A ने लोन लिया हुआ है B से, अब उस बी को उस लोन पे करने के लिए कुछ और लोन मांग रहा है, जो उसकी जो टर्म्स है वो अनकॉन्शनेबल है, मींस अनरीजनेबल है. तो ये बी के ऊपर डिपेंड, बी के ऊपर उसे बी को प्रूव करना है कि उसने जो लोन लिया है वो कोई अनरीजनेबल टर्म्स पे नहीं लिया है। एक बार ध्यान से पढ़िए बच्चों, इस पर एक आध बार क्वेश्चन आ चुका है एग्जाम में इस पॉइंट पर। कोई क्वेरी ऑन दिस पॉइंट बच्चों? फर्स्ट एग्जाम्पल से, पहले एग्जाम्पल में क्या था, मार्केट में पैसा ही नहीं है, मनी शॉर्टेज इन द मार्केट, मनी शॉर्टेज इन द मार्केट। तो बैंक ने कहा भैया हम हाई रेट चार्ज करेंगे, ओके डन, कोई बात नहीं है, तो नॉर्मल माना जाएगा, अनरीजनेबल नहीं माना जाएगा। लेकिन जो एग्जाम्पल है सेकंड एग्जाम्पल, इन दिस एग्जाम्पल व्हाट एक्चुअली हैपेंड, ए ने ऑलरेडी लोन लिया हुआ है बी से, अब उसे एक नया लोन लेना है जिसकी टर्म्स अनरीजनेबल है। तो बी को प्रूव करना है कि उसने जो लोन दिया है उसकी टर्म्स अनरीजनेबल नहीं थी, भैया हमारे पास हमें कुछ पैसा महंगा मिल रहा था, ये जो टर्म्स थी वो रीजनेबल है, ये कोर्ट को प्रूव करना पड़ेगा। पढ़िए बच्चों इसको। Next point, the object purpose must be to take undue or unfair advantage. Where the person is in position to influence the will of other in getting consent must have the object to take the unfair advantage. कि जो आदमी इस पोजीशन में है, डोमिनेटिंग पोजीशन में, वो यूज कर रहा है इस पावर का, किस लिए कर रहा है, कि वो अनफेयर एडवांटेज ले सके। सीधा एग्जाम्पल नंबर 11, A advance money to his son B during his minority. Upon B's coming of the age, obtains by misuse of parental influence a bond from B for a greater amount than the sum due in respect of the advance A employs undue influence. A ने एडवांस मनी दी अपने बेटे को उसकी माइनॉरिटी के साथ टाइम पर, माइनॉरिटी पे थी तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट वैसे ही वॉइड हो गया। अपॉन बी कमिंग ऑफ द एज, जब बी बड़ा हो गया, बाय मिसयूजिंग द पेरेंटल इन्फ्लुएंस अ बॉन्ड फ्रॉम ए ग्रेटर अमाउंट, उसने एक कमिटमेंट ले लिया बड़े अमाउंट का कि भैया ये तो मुझे वापस करोगे क्योंकि मैं पिता हूं तो मेरी बात माननी पड़ेगी। दिस इज द केस ऑफ अनड्यू इन्फ्लुएंस। वन मोर एग्जांपल, an illiterate old woman who is physically ill and mentally distressed, बीमार है, फिजिकली कमजोर है, executed a gift deed in favor of a relative who was taking care of her, जो उसकी केयर कर रहा था उसके लिए उसने उसकी बातों में आके उनने सारी प्रॉपर्टीज के नाम कर दी। तो हियर द रिलेटिव इन पोजीशन टू डोमिनेट द विल ऑफ ओल्ड वुमेन। प्लीज पढ़िए इसको बच्चों। इन विच एग्जाम्पल, किस एग्जाम्पल की बात कर रहे हैं मिस्टर हेशा? फादर इन पोजीशन डोमिनेट द विल ऑफ सन। नाउ the consequences of undue influence, section 19 capital A. Contract is voidable at the option of the party whose consent was so caused. Means कॉन्ट्रैक्ट क्या कर सकता है, वॉइड कर सकता है कौन, जिसकी कंसेंट अनड्यू इन्फ्लुएंस से ली गई है। द पर्सन हुज कंसेंट वाज ऑब्टेन्ड बाय यूजिंग अनड्यू इन्फ्लुएंस हैज ए चांस टू अवॉइड द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। The contract is voidable at the consent of the person whose consent is taken by using undue influence. Such contract may be set aside, means cancel. Such contract may be set aside either absolutely, or if the party who has entitled to avoid it has received any benefit upon such terms and conditions as to the court may seem just and equitable. अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में कोई बेनिफिट नहीं लिया है, किसने, जिस सपोज एक्स एंड वाई में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है, द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बिटवीन एक्स एंड वाई, and y consent is obtained. Listen everyone, there's a contract between x and y, and y's consent is obtained by using undue influence. Y's consent is obtained by using undue influence. Then contract is voidable at the option of y. Second thing, if y wants to cancel the contract, he can do. But if he has taken any benefit, if y has taken any benefit under this contract, so contract will be decided as per the terms and condition which are just and equitable in the eyes of court. In the eyes of अगर x और y के बीच कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है जिसमें y के संग y कंसर्न ली गई अनडू इन्फ्लुएंस को यूज करके, तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को y कैंसिल कर सकता है. अगर लेकिन y ने कोई बेनिफिट लिया है तो फिर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में क्या टर्म्स होंगी वो कोर्ट डिसाइड करेगी. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, burden of proof. Who has to prove? When a party to contract decides to avoid the contract, it means y has to prove. When a party decides to avoid the contract on the ground of undue influence, he has to prove, means y has to prove. The other party is in position to dominate his will. सामने वाली पार्टी इस पोजीशन में थी कि मेरी इच्छा को दबा सकती थी. The other party actually used his position to obtain the consent, and transaction is unfair or unreasonable. तीनों बात होनी चाहिए. यानी जो ये the person who is saying that his consent was obtained by using undue influence, he has to prove three things. The other party is in position to dominate the will. He has taken the position, he has taken the benefit of the position to take my consent, and the transaction is unreasonable, unfair. Right? पढ़िए बच्चों एक बार फटाफट से इसको. Difference between coercion and undue influence. I already told you that wherever a difference is asked in your exam, please please improvise the solution by making one more column for basis. Suppose the 4 marks question is asked about what is the difference between coercion and undue influence. So you have to write in this way. Basis section, coercion is defined in section 15, undue influence is defined in section 16. Nature, coercion involves physical force or threats, while undue influence involves moral pressure. Relationship is not required in case of coercion, but some sort of relationship must exist between the parties in case of undue influence. Consent is given under the threat of offense, but in case of undue influence, consent is obtained by dominating the will. No offense is committed. Exercised by whom? It may be from the stranger, but in case of undue influence, it can be applied by the party of the contract. जो पार्टी वही अप्लाई करेगी, थर्ड पर्सन अपनी पोजीशन फायदा नहीं उठा सकता. सर कोर्शन में ऐसा नहीं होता है. राइट? पढ़िए बच्चों एक बार इसको. In case of undue influence, the parties whose consent was obtained by undue influence has to make the proof, right? So this time for legal Premier League match 2, स्टार्ट करते हैं. The term consent is defined in section 12, 13, 14, 15. Second question. A threatens to kill B if he does not sell his scooter to him for rupees 1000. Here, B's consent is obtained by undue influence, coercion, fraud, none of these. Okay, send your query in chat box. Undue influence is kind of mental coercion, physical coercion, both of these, none of these. वॉइड एब इनिशियो और वॉइड में क्या फर्क है? वॉइड एब इनिशियो कह रहा है कि भैया वॉइड एट द टाइम ऑफ इनिशिएशन, मतलब जब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुआ तभी वॉइड हो गया था, और वॉइड मतलब वो बाद में भी हो सकता है वॉइड. फोर्थ पॉइंट, द fiduciary relation means relationship of trust and confidence, senior and junior, none of these, both of these. Threat to commit suicide amounts to undue influence, coercion, fraud, misrepresentation. To undue influence some sort of relationship between parties, necessary, not necessary, identified, presumed. चलिए चेक करते हैं. Term consent is defined in section 13. A threatens to kill B if he does not sell his scooter to him for 1,000 only. Here's B's consent obtained by coercion. Undue influence is a kind of mental coercion. The fiduciary relationship means relationship of trust and confidence. Threat to commit suicide amounts to coercion. To undue influence, some sort of relationship between the parties is necessary. So first person who has given all the correct answer is Miss Greta. Akshat. अंजलि यादव. श्रेया गुप्ता. नहीं, श्रेया गलत है. प्रियंका. सुभाष ओझा. So these were the students who have given all the correct answers. Now time for practice once again. We have a question for you. This is from the revision test paper, January 2025. I request everyone to please read this question carefully. This question can be asked for 6 marks in your exam. Right? Paridhi, a minor falsely representing her age, entering into an agreement with an authorized laptop dealer, Mr. Mittal, owner of MP Laptops, for purchase of laptop on credit amounting rupees 60,000 on 1st August 2022. She promised to pay back the outstanding amount with interest at the rate of 16% per annum on 31st July 2023. She told him that in case she won't be able to pay the outstanding amount, her father, Mr. Ram, will pay back on her behalf. After 1 year, when Paridhi was asked to pay the outstanding amount with interest, she refused to pay the amount and told the owner that she is a minor and now he can't recover a single penny from her. She will be a major on 1st January 2025 only after that agreement can be ratified. Explain by which of the following ways Mr. Mittal will succeed in recovering the outstanding amount with reference to Indian Contract Act 1872. By filing a case against Paridhi, a minor, for recovering of outstanding amount with interest. By filing a case against Mr. Ram, father of Paridhi, for recovery of outstanding amount. By filing a case against Paridhi minor for recovery of outstanding amount after she attains majority. Please पढ़िए बच्चों इस एग्जाम्पल को. A very good example examination point of view. Option B. सर ये MCQ नहीं है. This is not MCQ question. This is descriptive question. You have to answer all the 3 points A, B, C. Payal, what are you saying, beta? This is not MCQ. This you have to answer all the 3 points. You have to reply all the 3 points. See, first we will write the provisions. A contract made with or by minor is void ab initio. Pursuant to Section 11 of the Indian Contract Act 1872, a minor is not competent to contract, and any agreement with or by minor is void from very beginning. By following the provisions, Mr. Mittal will not succeed in recovering the outstanding amount by filing a case against the Paridhi because she is a minor. पहला पॉइंट तक क्या रिकवर कर सकता है परिधि से? द आंसर इज नो, बिकॉज परिधि इज माइनर. सेकंड पॉइंट तक क्या उसके पेरेंट्स से रिकवर कर सकता है? अगेन आंसर इज नो. Minor cannot bind parents or guardian. In the absence of authority express implied, minor is not capable of binding his or her parents or guardians even for necessaries. The parents will be liable only when the child is acting as an agent for parents. In the instant case, Mr. Mittal will not succeed in recovering the outstanding amount by filing a case against Mr. Ram, father of Paridhi. And third point was that whether the amount can be recovered after Paridhi become major. Again, the answer is no, because no ratification after attaining majority. A minor cannot ratify the agreement or attaining majority as the original agreement is void ab initio, and a void agreement can never be ratified. Hence, in this case also, Mr. Mittal will not succeed in recovering the outstanding amount by filing a case against the Paridhi after she attains majority. Please read कीजिए बच्चों एक बार इसको. अक्षित, आपको जवाब मिल गया होगा बेटा. एक स्टूडेंट पूछ रहा है सर मनी कैसे आएगी? ये दुकानदार जाने, दुकानदार को लॉ ही नहीं पता था, उसने क्यों करा? किसी बच्चे के साथ कॉन्टेक्ट करके मालूम है कि कुछ मिलना ही नहीं है, तो कोई रिकवरी नहीं, कोई कहीं से नहीं मिलेगा पैसा. लॉस किसका होगा? शॉपकीपर का होगा. आई एम रिक्वेस्टिंग वंस अगेन, प्लीज रीड द क्वेश्चन वंस अगेन. एक बार क्वेश्चन ध्यान से पढ़ लीजिए, तब प्रेजेंटेशन दोबारा समझिए. लैपटॉप वापस ले जा सकता है, ले जा सकता है. एक मिनट यहाँ ध्यान दीजिए. शॉपकीपर को कैसे पता चलेगा माइनर है या नहीं है? ये बड़ा अच्छा क्वेश्चन है, लेकिन इसमें कुछ नहीं कर सकते. लॉ के हम अगेंस्ट नहीं जा सकते. ये तो शॉपकीपर की जिम्मेदारी है. भैया तूने क्यों करा? वो कहेगा सर मुझसे धोखा हुआ. वही तो हुआ था धर्मदास घोष और मौरी बीवी में. उसने झूठ बोला, धर्मदास ने झूठ बोला, उसके बावजूद नुकसान किसका हुआ? मौरी बीवी का हुआ. 8 यार मर गए. तो उसने बताया था ना बेटा, वॉइड एब इनिशियो मतलब इनिशियली स्टार्टिंग से ही वॉइड हो गया. वॉइड मतलब बाद में भी वॉइड हो सकता है. यू आर राइट पायल, बट कोई ऐसा वो नहीं है, कोई मेजरमेंट नहीं, कोई ऐसा मेजरमेंट नहीं जो फाइंड आउट कर सके. अगर डाउट है तो उससे अपना आधार कार्ड मांग लो बच्चे से. ये हो सकता है कि बड़ा ट्रांजेक्शन कर रहे हो आप. माइनर फ्रॉड करता है तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट में तो कुछ नहीं है, लेकिन जुवेनाइल कोर्ट में जा सकते हैं। हाँ भाई, अगर डाउट है शॉपकीपर को तो वो आधार कार्ड मांग सकता है। माइनर अपने कामों से अपने पेरेंट्स को बांध नहीं सकता, यानी उसके कामों के लिए पेरेंट्स लायबिल नहीं होंगे। राइट मिस्टर ईशा? अब पायल सिंह सर, आधार कार्ड भी एडिट हो सकता है भैया, इसमें कितना जाओगे? तो हम तो सिर्फ ये डिस्कस कर रहे हैं कि लॉ क्या कहता है, क्राइम कैसे होगा ये तो मैं नहीं बता सकता बेटा, सॉरी। ओके, so in next class we will discuss, we will continue with fraud and other cases where the consent is not free. At this place we are ending the session, तो प्लीज आई एम अगेन रिक्वेस्टिंग यू, जब भी आप क्लास में आए तो प्लीज रिवीजन करके आया करें, बिगर रिवीजन के। सर प्लीज गिव मोर क्वेश्चन लाइक दिस। बेटा मेरे इसमें भी क्वेश्चन है आगे, और असाइनमेंट भी अपलोड कर दिया है, और फिर भी आप क्वेश्चन चाहिए, यू हैव एमटीपी, आरटीपी और मॉडल टेस्ट पेपर, उसके आप थ्रू कर सकते हैं। राइट, थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन फॉर द वंडरफुल सेशन एंड फॉर पेशेंट हियरिंग। एंड नेक्स्ट क्लास में आने से पहले प्रॉपर रिवीजन करके आइएगा, ठीक है? सर क्लास एंड करते हैं। सर क्लास एंड कर दीजिए। सर सुन
सर
पा
आप
रहे
लीव
हैं
कर
क्या?
दीजिए, सर लीव
ओके,
कर दीजिए।